CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight in East London. City Hall officials are kickstarting plans for widening Highbury Avenue to deal with worsening traffic congestion. However, that can't happen without impacting private property along the way. Brian Bicknell has more on the expropriation process getting underway.
Deb Lefebvre has lived in her Highbury Avenue home all her life, but now the city wants a piece of her property.
And according to the London city map, it shows it going through the houses on both sides of Highbury, but talking to the guy at City Hall, they said they're just taking probably half of our front yard.
The city is acquiring 43 partial and 9 full properties around Highbury and Hamilton to make traffic improvements. Affected homeowners have received a letter saying City Realty Services will be in touch to negotiate compensation. The city calls the process the partial acquisition of property, but the homes on the west side of Highbury are already very close to the road. In the case of Deb Lefebvre, it would eat up more than 4 meters of her front yard, putting the high-volume traffic that much closer to her home.
Preferably, we just take the partial, and if there's not significant impacts to the rest of the lot, then we don't need to take it. But there are some circumstances where we're taking so much of a certain parcel of property, it kind of leaves the rest of it, unusable. And there are cases where then we would fully buy out the full property. And
homeowner Debbie Evangelist says she has mixed feelings.
If it's for the better, then what else can we do? I'm okay with it. As long as they offer us a nice compensation.
Planned improvements include additional north and southbound lanes along Highbury, median islands east and west of the intersection, several turn lanes, bike lanes, bus bays, and landscaping.
In London now, it's pretty congested, so I encourage widening of roads, be honest with you, because, it just moves people quicker and it's just more convenient for everybody.
And everyone always uses Highbury to go, so I think it could be a good idea. Depending on if the people who live there are okay with giving away the space to make the lanes bigger.
Construction is scheduled for 2029. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
A council committee is recommending 1 hour free street parking downtown and in the Old East Village be extended until the end of the year.
At the moment, the free 1 hour parking is slated for termination by the end of this month. It has been beneficial to businesses in the core area.
There's about $50,000 still unspent in the parking promotions budget. The current program was set to expire at the end of October, and based on current rates, the remaining budget can cover the rest of 2025. Drivers must use the Hawk mobile app to qualify. The promotion will continue at least until council makes a final decision on November 4th.
I'm going to depart from my usual crustiness about parking, and I'm just going to say the fact that there is a funding source for this and the fact that there is a demonstrated benefit to downtown at a time when they really need some additional help.
A heated meeting at City Hall today as neighbors near London's Landfill demanded officials do something about odors and speeding garbage trucks.
If the landfill can grow, the safety zone must grow too. These aren't harmless fumes we're talking about. These are serious methane, VOCs, sulfur gases, and mix of volatile compounds that our children are breathing in.
We get impacted from the odor. Not only the odor, but all the trucks that come down our road, the garbage that flies off.
I've had enough. I've had enough of it. I've rejoined the PLC committee. I'm just furious every time I'm in there.
Council previously approved a plan to extend the landfill's lifespan by increasing its height. However, nearby residents say the proposed changes to the community enhancement and mitigative measures don't go far enough. The committee sided with neighbors on several changes, asking for a staff report on the odor, truck speeds, and garbage escaping into the area.
It's a reality that pretty much every major municipality has to face in terms of landfills. But to what we've tried to do today, I think there are mitigating things we can do. And I just want to say, we do hear you.
The provincial government pressed the gas pedal today on plans to ban speed cameras, tabling a bill to get them turned off. However, that plan faces stiff opposition from several municipalities. Alison Hurst reports.
The sign promising an automated speed camera is one unlikely to be kept. The province has tabled a bill banning them from municipalities.
We've made a decision as the government to move forward on this legislation to remove them.
The legislation is in its first bill since returning to the legislature. The release says it includes initiatives to protect taxpayers by ending the use of municipal speed cameras.
Our focus has always been on preventing speeding at the point of entry into one of these zones.
Municipalities using the technology have been largely against the government's plan, citing the vast majority of these cameras are in school zones. That's something many parents want to see continue.
Around the school, definitely needed. But there are different areas, maybe yes, maybe no, but the school, definitely.
I don't think we don't need to around here because no one's driving faster than the 30 kilometers per hour. So because they know that the school is here.
I think so, but I think because I don't get caught by them, so I'm like, yeah, it's probably good for safety.
The province wants cities instead to focus on traffic calming measures like speed bumps, roundabouts, and enhanced signage. At several schools across the province this morning, parents held demonstrations to save speed cameras.
The data shows us that they do work and that we are seeing a reduction in speeding in this area and across our city and across our province. So why would we take away a proven method of keeping our kids safe?
Once the bill passes, the cameras must be off, with new warning signs in their place by November 15th and permanent flashing light signage by next September. Alison Hurst, CTV News.
One of the other major talking points as MPPs return to Queen's Park today, the provincial government's controversial Skills Development Fund. Siobhan Morris reports.
An unrelenting barrage of questions for the Labour Minister at the centre of a scandal. It's over the Skills Development Fund, a $2.5 billion pot for training workers. The Auditor General's described the process of deciding who gets it as not fair, transparent, or accountable.
And what was the common denominator? Lobbyists. Lobbyists with connections to this government, to this premier, and to this minister.
David Piccini's been involved in picking recipients with ties to progressive conservatives who scored low in the criteria for funding.
Openly admitted to a conflict of interest to the premier. Will he ask the Minister of Labour to step aside?
A push all opposition parties are behind.
I think it's indefensible. I mean, he's essentially created a slush fund for PC donors at a time when we have 800,000 people out of work.
The minister defiant and defensive about the program's ability to change lives.
We're never going to apologize for making those investments in those workers.
The minister says there hasn't been quid pro quo in distribution of funds to unions who backed him or his party. And he has no intentions of removing himself from choosing who gets funding.
We work with our officials in that discussion. We have to make sure we have construction workers on job sites. Otherwise, we will delay.
The Premier's office says the Premier continues to have confidence in his Labour Minister. The government has introduced legislation aimed at making Ontario's economy more competitive.
An actual amendment.
The bulk of the bill focuses on over 300 permits.
How we can get those permits either eliminated or approved faster without jeopardizing the integrity of the environment or public safety.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A controversial apartment project was back on the agenda at Sarnia City Hall today. It will house dozens of residents, but as Brent Lale reports, the building's final location still a source of frustration.
For months, those who live near this empty lot on George Street have been fighting to prevent the building of a 5-story supportive housing complex. They say the neighborhood is undergoing a renaissance after 18 years of having a homeless shelter nearby.
You put this here, it's done. It's absolutely done. And that's why we're fighting it. It's just the wrong place.
The Indwell project was back at council today with a motion by George Vandenberg.
Find an alternative location for this George Street site because it is unique.
It sparked discussion for and against looking for a new site.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with the idea of having an alternate location. What I have a problem with, though, is delaying it any further.
Things like neighborhood watch or maybe different reviews by the police department in terms of looking after the area. Because often if you start these things right from the beginning, then the toeholds of the troubles are nipped in the bud.
We're going to meet this challenge over and over. Even if we ask the county or the city or us to pick a site, no one's going to be happy about it.
Roberts, Councillor Kilner, and myself, so the question fails.
Ultimately, Mayor Mike Bradley broke the tie vote, defeating the motion.
Very disappointed with Council's decision today. We were only simply asking, will you look at alternate sites?
Despite the motion to look for an alternate site being voted down by Council, residents in that neighborhood say they aren't done fighting.
Next for us would be we're looking to, when and well, applies to the city with a planning application, a zoning application. There will be a public process, and at that time, we'll participate.
Councillor Bill Dennis's motion to ask staff to develop a neighborhood safety plan around a future Indwell building was approved. Brent Lale, CTV News.
Meanwhile, a motion to allow Sarnia Councillor Bill Dennis back inside City Hall failed to garner any support. He's been barred from the facility since January following a third-party investigation which found he violated the city's workplace harassment policies over his conduct toward city staff and fellow councillors. An emotional sentencing hearing today in Sarnia for a man who pleaded guilty in the shooting death of a family friend. As Nick Paparella reports, the person responsible was just 16 years old at the time.
A packed Sarnia courtroom heard tear-filled victim impact statements from the family of David Oliver. The 29-year-old was hanging out with a younger friend smoking a joint along Army Camp Road at Kettle and Stony Point First Nation when things turned deadly. It was in July of 2020 that he would be shot twice in the head and his body dragged into a nearby field. The person responsible wouldn't be arrested for years, but in September of 2024, and after several interviews, the OPP tracked down the killer, only to find out he was 16 years old at the time. Because of that, he cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. In the summer, the man, now 21, pled guilty to second-degree murder for the killing, which was described as senseless. In her victim impact statement, Oliver's mother, Carla, was sobbing, saying, "My heart is broken, and I know it will never be the same as before David was murdered." Fearful over his eventual release, she said he may be a young offender, but handled what he did as an adult. There is no guarantee he won't do it in the future. Because of his age at the time, both the Crown and defense submitted a joint sentence recommendation of 4 years in jail, followed by 3 years community supervision. The 21-year-old has apologized to the family for his actions. He is expected to be sentenced on November 12th. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
3 Scottish men accused in the death of an Owen Sound restaurant owner have consented to face those charges here in Canada. 24-year-old Robert Evans Jr. is charged with manslaughter. His father and uncle have been charged with accessory after the fact. Back in August 2023, 44-year-old Sharif Rahman was assaulted outside his restaurant and he later died in hospital. The altercation was apparently over an unpaid bill. Police say Evans Jr. was the one who attacked Rahman, who then fled the country with the help of his father and uncle. During an extradition hearing this morning in Edinburgh, all 3 consented to be sent to Canada to face the charges. The final decision, though, rests with the Scottish government. Crown lawyers are seeking a dangerous offender designation for a man found guilty of attempted murder here in London. 48-year-old Jeremiah Reed was convicted of chasing down a friend and stabbing him in the neck in April 2022. The court has heard a psychiatric assessment was ordered for Reed, who has a lengthy criminal record. A dangerous offender designation would mean his time behind bars would be indefinite. The hearing is expected to last all week. More than 100 women gathered in Mount Bridges this weekend for the annual Middlesex London Women's Leadership Conference. The event featured a panel of speakers sharing stories of their successes and challenges. Attendees came from a wide range of ages and experiences, all organized by women for women.
It's not easy, it's not for everyone, but it's important that we don't step away from the table because it isn't easy. And that's what today's about, is encouraging those voices and encouraging those around us to be allies.
Organizers say proceeds from the event support the Southwestern Ontario YMCA. London's Highland Theatre is getting in on a renewed interest in old cinema. Staff are bringing back a 70mm projector based on popular demand. Sean Irvin has more on the vintage technology's nostalgic appeal.
It is a well-worn piece of film, but this image represents the first time a traditional 70mm movie has been shown in London for decades.
It's the splendor of 70mm, they used to say. Because of the larger frame size, the image on screen is so much brighter, you can put so much more light through it.
Until the advent of digital, 70mm was the gold standard.
Back in the 70s and 80s, it was what IMAX is today. Like, it had that status.
But as time advanced, prints were lost. Then, just as vinyl records reappeared, theater audiences of all ages suddenly wanted to see classic films the way they were presented.
A lot of the indies in Ontario are putting their projectors back in because there is demand for that, seeing film.
There's no video stores anymore, and you have to join 10 streaming sites to get whatever movie you want to watch. And now everyone's like, you know, I'd rather see that on the big screen.
The debut of the 70mm projector and the first film will not happen here at the Highland until January. Already, there is a long wish list.
2001: A Space Odyssey, Ben-Hur, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Lawrence of Arabia, The Sound of Music, big epics.
That's not to mention the movies of today. Major film directors are demanding that studios release their projects in 70mm. That reality will put more people in the seats at the Highland, which will now be the only 70mm screen in this region.
Without having to drive hours, spend the night in Toronto, and even try to fight for a ticket.
But with original prints hard to come by, the flicker of the test screen is all classic buffs have for now. But Vic contends even this image is a welcome sight.
There are qualities to film projection that totally blow away digital.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Still ahead, the annual Special Olympics motion ball event, raising thousands of dollars this past weekend for local causes.
5K a day is back on 97.5 Virgin Radio. Listen to Jeff KP and Backstage Ben for your chance to win $5,000
every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Canada's main stock index climbed more than 300 points today, helped by strength in the base metals sector. U.S. markets also surged higher. The Dow up 515, the Nasdaq up 310. Meanwhile, the Canadian dollar up slightly today. On commodities, gold up more than $140 an ounce. Oil fell 50 cents a barrel. The federal finance minister is suggesting there may soon be some movement on Canadian steel and aluminum with new exemptions to counter U.S. tariffs. With more on the renewed optimism, here's Abigail Beeman.
Signs of a potential deal are strong enough for the head of the Business Council of Canada to comment publicly.
There's reason to be cautiously optimistic that we're working towards some sectoral agreements on aluminum and steel and energy. More specifically, there's still work to do. We're optimistic that if they can get it to the finish line this week, something can be announced.
Maybe a reduction or a quota, but Goldie Hyder says we won't live in a tariff-free world.
This is not about China, it's about Canada.
Meanwhile, the finance minister is defending new counter-tariff exemptions for Canadian companies bringing in steel and aluminum from the U.S. and China.
So you're talking about a very small group of very specific products that needed to enter Canada to maintain the supply chain.
While the Canadian Steel Producers Association criticizes the exemptions for being too broad, Keenan Loomis represents Canadian steel fabricators and says the decision to exempt I-beam specifically is critical to about 500 Canadian businesses that work with the U.S.
This is really, really impactful when it comes to projects where my guys are working on American projects and bringing in the steel, engineering it, fabricating it here in our shops here in Canada, and then sending it back to the U.S.
The focus now, whether there will be a sectoral deal announced this week or during the Prime Minister's upcoming trip to Asia, where both he and the American president are expected to attend the APEC summit. Abigail Beeman, CTV News,
Ottawa. Hi there. We'll see increasing amounts of cloud overnight, tracking a cold front. There's an area of low pressure that's moving into northern Ontario, so this will impact our forecast in the coming days. Waking up tomorrow morning to overcast conditions and then rain moving in. Thanks, Taryn, for this photo of Monroe. If you're heading out first thing in the morning, expect cloudy skies, but you'll need your rain gear past 8 a.m. Stay with us. I'll have your local forecast right after this.
Welcome back with Julie on the desk now, and a lovely start to the week for sure. Hope you had a chance to get outside because this might be the end of it for the rest of the week. It's shifting pretty dramatically.
Yeah, in terms of temperatures falling a bit this week, we'll have some showers on the way and a very typical fall pattern setting up. Today we were sandwiched in between low pressure on the eastern seaboard and a strong low pressure moving into northern Ontario. So a little ridge of high pressure brought us this glorious day today with all that sunshine. Temperature right where we should be for this time of year, coming in at 13 degrees this afternoon. Overnight we'll drop down to a 6. We will see increasing amounts of cloud cover after it was a beautiful evening, and temperatures along the lakeshore 10 degrees. A satellite radar shows our next weather system that's coming in. So this low will be driving to northern Ontario, and it will drag a cold front right across the Great Lakes as we head into tomorrow morning. That will bring us some rainfall. So the rain expected to arrive anytime after 8 a.m. in London. We could see some rainfall towards Sarnia, Chatham anytime after 6:37. That cold front will continue to trek eastward, but what happens is this upper low sets up over the Great Lakes, and then you get this counterclockwise spin. Look how cold the air is in northern Ontario. It's bringing snowfall, so we're not getting any snow in southern Ontario, but we will be into rain showers. So this time of year you get, as the cold air in the upper atmosphere, you get daytime heating, and then of course this promotes showers at the surface. So as soon as it hits that cold air, if you think about an air parcel expanding, it hits that cold air, and that's where you get the cloud cover and showers. So as we head into the day on Wednesday, once again, we will have some rainfall and unsettled conditions this week. So the upper low will sit over the Great Lakes Basin this week until Friday. We're going to kick it off to the east ahead of the weekend. So your forecast for your Tuesday, cloudy with rain to start the day, winds gusting out of the southwest. The cold front comes through. Could see some breaks in the cloud cover with the passage of the cold front, so that will be brief. And then as we head into the late afternoon, evening, the clouds will move back in. And this is the kind of weather where you look to the sky and to the north and you see that dark cloud cover, and you can see the areas where they're picking up rainfall. And then that cloud cover and shower spins back into the rest of the region. So it'll be one of those forecasts. We'll have a lot of low cloud around and a lot of low dark cloud, which will generate showers Wednesday into Thursday. Daytime highs midweek about 10 degrees. By Friday, we're back into a mix of sun and cloud. Mix on Saturday and Sunday, but daytime highs this week are taking a bit of a tumble. We had a beautifully warm weekend, and temperatures this week are giving us a reality check. We have showers back in the forecast on Monday. Big weather story this week will just be the cool and unsettled conditions. Keep your umbrella handy. You are going to need it. The cold front comes through Tuesday morning. Cool air starts to filter in behind it. The upper level pattern will promote scattered showers and rainfall at the surface on and off, so not a steady rainfall this week. But Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, about a 60% chance of rain. By Friday, the probability starts to drop off. We should see some breaks of sunshine, but it will still be quite cool near Huron, Perth, Grey Bruce, and we will see that cool flow coming off Lake Huron, which leads to lake effect showers. Mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. Daytime highs over the weekend from 10 to 11 degrees. Carlyle, back to you.
Thanks very much, Julie. A new nationwide farming initiative is focused on making the industry more climate friendly. Scott Miller has more on what that looks like in Midwestern Ontario.
This ground is, we always think it kind of looks like chocolate cake.
For the past 15 years, Ken Schaus has been using cover crops on most of the 4,000 acres he farms with his family across Bruce and Grey County.
We've seen an incredible difference in the soil, what it's become and what it's producing.
Using cover crops to protect the soil, limit runoff, and maintain soil nutrients is just one of the ways farmers are being encouraged to incorporate more climate-friendly or regenerative practices onto their farms. It's the focus of a new nationwide initiative from the Canadian Alliance for Net Zero Agri-Food called the Million Acre Challenge.
Only about 4% of climate finance actually goes to agriculture globally. And that's a very small amount of money towards a huge sector that is doing a lot for us. It sequesters carbon, it feeds us, it provides food security, it provides jobs, it provides culture and family. So why can't we grab that money and put it on the ground where it's actually needed.
With $7 million in startup funds from the Weston Family Foundation, Kansas wants to share the startup costs of projects that bring down farmers' carbon emissions, keep soil in the ground, and/or conserves water, while building a marketplace for farmers using carbon credits or other rewards for incorporating climate-friendly practices.
In our current system, farmers take on all of the cost and a lot of the risk up front. So if we can help share some of that cost and risk so that we allow farmers to innovate and find solutions for climate-smart practices on their farm that work for them, then that's what we really want.
Show says on his beef and grain operation, they're using less fertilizer and fuel using cover crops while improving their yields at the same time.
You know, if I can do it, you know, any farmer can do it. Quite honestly, it's not hard to do, and it feels like the right thing to do.
Agriculture accounts for between 5 to 10% of Canada's yearly carbon emissions. Near Walkerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Welcome back. Finally tonight, it was a weekend of fun, dancing, and competition at Oak Ridge Secondary School. Here's a look at the annual Special Olympics Motion Ball event.
It's so fun is because the Special Olympic athletes have come out here and they want to have some fun with the bunch of students from Western or all around that want to play this volleyball. But we also wanted to help fundraise.
It's an incredible day of integration, celebration. We're going to raise over $25,000 net for the Special Olympics community. And what's exciting is this is just one of 50 events across Canada. We're in 18 cities. We're on 35 university campuses. Motion Ball has donated over $20 million. And the most important thing of our movement is that integration with our Special Olympic athletes and our event participants.
Just have fun with everybody and also have fun with people you do not know yet, but just show them what you have and then teach them as well.
Today is all about fun, and today more than anything is about getting to know your Special Olympic athlete, and maybe we might turn a few heads and get some people involved to volunteer for the movement down the road.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.